meaning that I always thought, hey, if this role exists, right, if someone's going to get the job done, why can't I? Hardships can shape you and really help you to find your purpose.
What is up, everybody? Hey, it's me, Lucky, and thank you for tuning in to Lucky Pro Chats, short for Lucky Professional Chats. We have another very special guest today. We have a Mr. Cesar Wurm. He is in the hospitality industry, and when I tell you, oh my goodness, this gentleman, he's very accomplished and has a lot of information to share with you all today. So without further ado, Mr. Cesar Wurm, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself.
Hi, Lucky.
Hi.
First and foremost, I'd love to thank you for this opportunity. Great to connect with you, and really appreciate the platform. And it's a pleasure to be here.
Absolutely.
So yeah, I think I can give you a brief intro, and then we can dig deeper as you see fit. But yeah, originally I'm from Brazil. I left there when I was about 17. I studied hotel school. Really got to the United States early 2000s, and at the time really expect to be here just 1 year. Didn't have the expectations of staying or anything like that, but then the hotels I was working at, they extended my visa, and then ended up meeting my wife Laura here in Atlanta, and I spent most of the 22 years that I've been here, mostly in Atlanta, but also we moved around a little bit to Texas, Florida, and yeah, we have a beautiful daughter, Gabby. She's 12, and yeah, my entire career spent in hotels and in this area of sales and marketing. So I always kind of from a property level, helping hotels to optimize revenue and make the most amount of money as possible. And then now I work above property, of hotels, of property that really support the teams at the hotels to perform at their best.
Absolutely. And ladies and gentlemen, he's saying hotel, but he's very just So I was going to ask you next, what has made your journey unique? But my goodness, you have a magnificent story. I guess anything stand out to you, maybe that, I don't know, affect you or inspired you uniquely in your journey?
Yes, a lot of things. I think from a professional side, one thing that always stood to me is like how fortunate I have been in having the people that I had in my life, and had great mentors, great leaders that in many cases gave me opportunities that I wasn't quite ready for at the time, but I think they believed that I would be able to make it happen, and I also had that innate belief in myself, meaning that I always thought, hey, if this role exists, if someone's going to get the job done, why can't I, I may not be ready, I may not know everything, but I'll give my all to figure it out, and make it happen. So I always kind of took that mentality, and thankfully has worked. But of course, it always has to do with the people that I surrounded myself from, very supporting leaders. So very, very thankful for that. And then also, I think a little bit related to that mentality of making things happen, I always going the extra mile. I always try to do a little bit more than what's required per my job.
Yeah.
And I think that also helped me a lot in the role, not only necessarily doing what is expected, but what else can I be thinking of? What else can I do and try? And then one thing now that I'm really, really focused on is paying that forward, I think that from a career perspective, I don't have necessarily aspirations of keep growing on the ladder, I don't aspire to be a CEO or anything, if happens, and I think will happen for a reason, but I'm very content where it is. And I just love seeing now the younger generation coming and seeing, how I can help them, have the same opportunities I had, and getting the perspective. So I love doing that work. And I've been doing some blogs to hopefully help others. So that is something that really helps me keep going. And then from a personal side, one is of course my family. As I mentioned, we have a daughter, so I want to make sure that I do the best as I can professionally and personally to be a great role model for her and an inspiration, and be able to provide right to her and make sure she can have a good foundation and a good life. And then also I've personally I've been sober for 8 years plus, and that has been I'm not sure we want to use the wonderful journey because but also it's amazing how hardships can shape you and really help you to find your purpose. And to me, that's what that journey really has helped me as well, right? And kind of finding myself once again, working to become a better person, and having a more clear North Star, right, as to what I want to do. So, so I think these things definitely kind of shape me and continues to shape me as I move forward.
Oh, very nice. And so I'll dial in and ask. So, as in regards to fatherhood, what advice do you offer either new fathers that are in their profession, or let's say those fathers that are increasing their profession? What advice do you offer them in this
Wow.
time?
I, there's a lot. I think, of course, everyone's journey is unique, right?
Mhm.
Every person's situation is different. So I would start with that. From my personal experience, I would start with kind of the personal side, right? Going back, I wish I could have been more uh, aware and conscious what my wife was going through, right?
Ah,
Because
yeah.
it is a big change, right? Especially for the mother. I mean, it's a lot of completely identity transformation, the emotions. So, looking now, I mean, I wish I would be a little bit more aware and supportive in that area. But I think, a couple of things from a professional side, to me, gave me also a purpose, but also put a lot of more pressure. I would recommend not to let the pressure get, to too much, right? Because whatever part you are in your profession, you got there because of who you are, your capabilities, lift, right? What brought you to now, and kind of just accelerate that. So that's one thing that also looking back, if I was to tell my young self, is like, hey, instead of coming from a scarcity mentality where it's like that fear-based drive, it's like, hey, I'm here for a reason, right? Because of
Mhm.
what I can offer. And let me use this new, beautiful thing in my life to really, accelerate that. And then another thing, secondly, is just kind of enjoy, right? Enjoy the moment, take time again, right? A lot of times I didn't take as much time as I needed to be with the family. And of course, it's always a balance. So, it's not always as easy as we would like it to be. But I think, just prioritize to your beliefs, to your values, and you'll find a balance. And then don't be afraid of taking opportunities as
Thank
well.
you.
So yeah.
And so, aside from family, what would you say is your highest accomplishment?
Yeah, I would say sobriety,
Already.
because it's kind of interesting. Lucky, as I look back in these 8 years, sometimes it seems so far away
Hmm.
in some aspects, but then I've been writing about it, and when I write, it makes you, brings you back to those times, and you relieve and you feel that emotion, and it's just so. It is crazy. I mean, I don't know if you have a friend or whatever, right, a family member, or know of someone uh, that is struggle with addiction, but it is, when you're in that state of mind, it is like you're living, in an alternate reality. There's no logic. So because even like, as now I've been sober for a while, it makes you wonder, it's like, hey, how much of that is really choice, right? And because and I don't have the answer, right? I still can't pinpoint necessarily when there was the shift, if there was, right? I know, hey, there's some DNA component that I have, right, that contributed to that. There are choices and behaviors that I made, right, that led to it. But then, having the choice, of not just getting out, it's not that simple, right? Because you don't have the clarity, you don't have the, and like, for example, everything I was doing back then was always planning my day around, okay, when can I drink, right? When can I get that excuse and all that? So it's very interesting how we are wired. So just looking back, going through that journey and reliving those moments, it really made me realize how fortunate I am that I was able to overcome it. Because from many whatever data points that you come across, you can realize that about approximately 10% of the population suffers with addiction, and then 1% or so overcome it, right, from a long-term perspective. So that's something that I'm really proud.
Oh, and you should be. Congratulations on that, by the way.
Thank you.
Absolutely. And I guess asking further in regards to that, what advice or resources would you offer someone that is maybe experiencing that recognition of the circumstance? What would you suggest?
Yeah. So I think there is great, there's, thankfully nowadays, there's a lot of free resources, right, that you can get. So on the web, you can find a lot of resources. But for example, AA, right, is a great resource that is, free, and you can go as many meetings as you can and find a community that support. And then also, any hotline, there are numbers that you can call to, express what you're going through, and then get resources and help. And even, just, asking for help as the first step is a big one. It's the most important one. And then once you do that, it's really tough to go back to the life you're doing, right? Of course, you're going to go through ups and downs, but asking for help, it's a great first step.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. And now let's gear to, and this I know you are a busy gentleman, so let's talk about your blog, or let's talk about you. How can individuals find you? Where are you? What's happening with you with that?
I started my blog about a couple of months ago. Within my work, I send like a weekly newsletter about important topics. And from time to time, I post something about, leadership, or just something in perspective that I think can help our teams. And that's usually when I get some comments back, right? Hey, I really, like that perspective, or appreciate this resource. So I said, hey, why not kind of share some blogs and see where that goes. So I started in a little bit and talk really about leadership in life. So it may be something that I'm personally going through, or came across work, or read, right, about, that really sparked something. Happy to share that with you, so people can, follow if they can connect or have an interest. And then, of course, LinkedIn, I'm there, and I can share my profile with you too. It's kind of the only social media I really do.
Yeah.
Like, I do enough, like, probably like you, right? So much technology every day and screen time that I try to stay away from my free time, kind of. But yeah, those ones, and I'm happy to share it with you.
Oh, thank you. Wow, That's the last question that I had for you, sir. Thank you again for chatting with us. Ladies and gentlemen, this is again Mr. Cesar Wurm. And I'll go ahead and close it. If you will, as I usually say, come close to me. From now on, you are lucky. You can say that with me. I am lucky from now on. All right, say it in the mirror. All right, until next time.